here we are again, and with a whole selection of items to show you today. And so I thought I would begin with what I have been and continuing to work with my cross-stitch samplers. Now, you have noticed on the photographs at the beginning and the introduction that I now have three of my samplers actually hanging up at the beginning of my collection. It was difficult to decide where in my lovely cottage I would start this collection, and it seemed to me that the stairwell going down the stairs would provide real interest as people go up and down, and it also is away from windows so that the lovely stitches won't become faded in sunlight from a window. And as you can see, there is lots of space, though I'm not able to reach too high, so they're going to come down at an angle. And so the first one is The Winter Is Past by Blackbird Designs, and then I added two of my own, Love Never Fails and a little one with bluebirds. Those I stitched and did the designs for quite a few years back now. And so we'll just see, there's no pressure over filling it up. I have quite a number of ones that I've done myself, but I'm going to be quite selective in the end because I want to have a well-balanced collection as we cover the wall with work. A new sampler and a new designer for me, Stacey Nash, and just across the new year there, this little one kept jumping out at me, the Rose Cottage pin keep, and when things continue to jump out, I find it's wiser just to give in and go for it. And very fortunately, I was able to find a copy of the chart, and I have started it. Now, I looked at it and thought, well, this is rather small and it's not going to take very long, but in fact it's really labour intensive, and part of the attraction was the doves going along the bottom there on the blue background. I don't know if it's supposed to be water or not, but you can see every stitch is covered on the bottom of that, so this is going to take some time. And it's relatively large for a pin keep. It's 8 3/4 inches by 8 inches, so it's almost a small cushion. I'm using 32 count Weeks Dye Works grey Zweigart base, which used to evidently be called Confederate grey, and this is as far as I've got with it. Oh, I thought I would work along the bottom, but I wanted to go up and at least start the bottom of the house there. So that's one to be going on with, and I'll just check on my yes, I just hope this is loud enough, but I think it should be. Now the actual chart calls for 36 count, so my pin keep will be even larger than this size here, since I'm using a different count of fabric, but not too much. The next one I want to show you is my progress on Come Into My Garden, and I'm stitching this on 36 count vintage country mocha, which again is actually a Zweigart base, and it's a lovely linen as a light colour, particularly for this sampler, as the colours of the threads are really quite sandy in colour, and they look beautiful against that background of the country mocha. And this is what I've been able to do since my last floss tube, and I'm really enjoying this, really enjoying it. Blackbird Designs, come into my garden. The next one I'm working on is one that I'd hoped to have finished across Christmas. Christmas was lovely, family to stay, and no stitching. And also I was doing knitting before Christmas, my Shetland lace knitting. So this has fallen behind a bit. And it didn't help because I did the border wrong and had to take out quite a lot of it. But I persevered and went ahead and took out the mistake, because I knew that if I just left it, then I probably just keep saying, oh well, I'll get round to it. So I made myself take out those wrong stitches, which was down the border, and continue. Now, I think with this one, I'm not going to make it into the drum that is recommended. It was actually designed for. I think I will be framing this one as well, which was the reason that my border wasn't quite right. I've adjusted the border because it will not fold round, it will be flat. It's from Sewing Club by Blackbird Designs, and I'm doing this one on R&R Reproduction 36 count Winter Brew, which is quite a dull colour against the red and green, and I wouldn't necessarily choose that again, though it's looking good in this light, I have to say. Moving on, 1861 Antique Sampler is from Blackbird Designs In Friendship's Way, and I'm enjoying this. This is 2/2, so it has a completely different feel to it, and I am stitching it on Fibre on a Whim oatmeal. This is my only Fibre on a Whim, I think. I'm enjoying this for a slightly more chunky type of weight, and I've worked from the top down to the bottom. I'm going to be working in strips, I think, partly doing the alphabet and then coming down into more of the motifs. I was very pleased with myself because I did have a new start, and I surprised myself at how much I actually enjoyed it. I didn't think I would. Lots of wonderful Gloriana, crimson and cranberry. Crimson and cranberry silk, wonderful. And the sampler itself has been sitting in my drawer. It was the very first sampler I ever bought, a very first chart I ever bought. And again, this was one that just kept jumping out at me, and so I gave in. I thought, oh, cross-stitch samplers, I don't know if that's my bag, and bought it. And because it was all new to me, samplers were, I really hadn't the first idea what the instructions meant. And so it is intricate. I have 40 count linen, and it's 1/1, and there are many pages of very complicated geometric design. So it's not quite the same as your Blackbird or your Stacey Nash, but I'm absolutely loving it, in that it's really focusing the mind. Now I've just dropped the, oh, here it is. It's really focusing the mind, and it gives a peaceful feel when you're doing it, because you are so intensely focused. And I recommend that you are stitching this when there are to be no interruptions by family, friends, or furry friends. That includes cats. I had done a start up here, and I realised it was far too close to the edge. So this is what I've actually done just this week, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. But not to be done, I think, when I'm tired or, as I say, interrupted. So I've also done another one that is 1/1, but this is on a 30 count fabric. I'm sorry, it was a remnant in my drawer and I don't know what it is. I've no idea, but I like to use up remnants, and this is the reason that I'm doing this. And it is 1/1 because I wanted to get a pretty fine sort of look for the alphabet. It's stitching up extremely quickly, and it's my design, so I'm sort of designing as I go, and we'll just see where that gets to. I don't know yet. I think there should be a little motto or something in there. So I also indulged in 3 more items. Now, I'm not someone who, I wouldn't have the space or the budget to be building up an enormous number of charts. It's deliberate on my part. I could spend the money on that, but I'm choosing not to. I think my educational background was that if you started something, you finished it before you started the next thing. And so I've broken with that rule to a certain extent, but it's still there in the background. And there's this still feeling of, no, wait a minute, don't go on and buy something else until you've finished what you have. So I feel probably these will be the 3 items, the 3 new items for all of 2025, that I won't buy any more. But we'll wait and see. So I liked the idea of the 7 sheep. I have a sampler that I'm working on that's absolutely enormous. It'll take me about 5 years, and it is sheep may safely graze, and you're not being shown it because I never seem to get around to it. But the idea, the 5-year plan or 10-year plan, if I'm still here, is that I will have on the wall a number of sheep samplers. I just love the idea of the ultimate, going through life and ending as sheep in the pasture. That's a lovely idea. And this is a beautiful sampler. I bought this from, it's Scarlet House, and it came from America very quickly. And it has unusual colours. Now, Carol Saltbox Stitcher has mentioned this just very recently and said that the colours are, I think her expression was, quite wacky. I don't know. I certainly will follow the colours, but I think that when it comes to the make of thread, you do have quite a number of options. So, and I will be gathering the threads up gradually over the year as well. I don't know if I'll do silk. The next one was Blackbird Designs, and this is quite difficult to decide what Blackbird design to go for, because there are so many out there. The humming of the bees, and you know, they're just wonderful, and they're still in the UK easy to find. But I went for Merrily Merrily We Welcome Spring, with the idea that I would stitch it as the spring comes in. But that's just an idea, it may not happen. So having bought it, I then looked at the original, which they have on the back page, and I prefer the original. I prefer the spacing. I think there's more room to breathe, and aesthetically I find that much more pleasing. They've admitted to having added a dog and a house, and this rather to my mind, not particularly attractive big bird, which are not on the original. So I'm going to go back and work on the original, leaving out the house, the dog, and that bird. And I do apologise to Blackbird. You know, I design myself, and I always feel it's a shame, all that hard work by the designer, you know, to get the thread colour and the right fabric. And you should really respect the designer's decisions on it. The drawbacks here are that often I can't get the fabric in the UK that is called for, though I can get the threads. And so if you don't have the fabric that's called for, then perhaps their thread choice won't match the fabric that I've chosen. And as I say, I do feel I can be let off for this decision because that's the original. That's the original. So we'll see. It's not been started yet. It may go into 2026, that one. The third purchase was the Needlework Press Book of Days for 2025. And I really wanted last year's, but I couldn't find it. It was all sold out. And so I jumped on the chance of getting this at the beginning of 2025. And it came very quickly. Thank you for sending it so quickly. And it's just a delight. I just love the little quotes. The art of being wise is knowing what to overlook. William James. Oh, just lovely, lovely quotes in here. Just up my tree. And there's not too much in here so that I get bogged down with ending the time, giving up my time to writing all the time and doing all the plans and not actually stitching. I like to be very organized when I'm stitching, and I like to keep the threads separate in little sushi boxes, which are a copy of shaker boxes. And I'm finding that I need more needle cases, so I just rustled up that one a couple of days ago. And the needles that I use are John James Gold number 28, and I highly recommend them if you can get them. They're just beautiful. They really are beautiful. So that's my samplers. I'll just show you a couple of paintings that I've done. This one I touched up. I love that. This is my china. I love it. I've got the set and I love painting it, and I'm potty about roses. So that's one that I've finished just beginning of the year. And this one here I painted last week, just to let you know that I'm not just doing cross stitch samplers. This is a lovely little coffee pot that I have. I have a thing about painting coffee pots, and that is hellebore flower out of my garden at the front. They've managed to survive a couple of really deep frosts that we've had. The temperatures have been down at -10, and then finally I've just finished this. I love knitting, I love lace knitting, and I love lace knitting doilies. This was one out of this book, Knitted Lace, and I've just finished it today. And I put these on my mats to catch the tea and coffee stains, and I just love doing them as well. They remind me of snowflakes and spider webs and just lovely lacy things, nature. So there we are. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm really pleased that I've managed to get the hammer and the nails out and start my my sampler wall. Very excited about that, and love watching Narissa. I like Nicole's needlework, even though she's actually stopped the YouTube, so I go back and look at them, and Carol Saltbelt Box Stitcher, and also Kindred Spirit. They would be top of my list. So there you go. Happy stitching. See you again. Bye.